you could make it today. We've got another story coming from the Gospels, and I will start right into it. Um, Up until this point, we have been seeing where Jesus has gathered disciples, whom we call the apostles. There are other disciples that come along, and they are um, important people, and they are distinguished from the apostles only in that they usually do not have special jobs and they usually do not follow Jesus physically the entire time, although they are learning from him. So, uh, as I'd mentioned before, opposition starts growing to Jesus. Now, what you would have are people who believe that, oh, the way to worship God is this way, and they either misunderstood or just plain didn't want to do it the way God had told them to do it. And they knew what they were supposed to do based on what was in the Old Testament scriptures. And the only bit that they had at this time of the Bible was the Old Testament, which they called the scriptures. Now there were a number of people called Samaritans, and they accepted some of the Old Testament, pretty much just the first few books where there were rules, but things after that they did not accept. So the Jewish people did not like the Samaritans. Of course, the Samaritans, as a result, didn't like the Jewish people very much, thinking that the Jewish people were much too strict. The Jewish people thought the Samaritans were failing to follow God because they weren't following all of the books or using all of the books that were available and were thus missing out on some of the things God wanted them to know. Now, when Jesus came, he was a Jew, his disciples were Jews, and his mission was to go to the Jews. Now, important to know here is that he did not reject the people who were not Jewish if they came to him, and sometimes he would initiate a conversation with them, whether they were Gentile or Samaritan. Well, at this point in his life, he's ready to go on the offensive um, because there are people who have been against Jesus, and some of them truly thought that he was doing things incorrectly. Others just didn't like it because he was getting attention. They were jealous of him. Now, what we know is that behind all of this opposition to him, whether the people knew it or not, is there was the devil who was pushing all of this because you may remember he has been trying to stop Jesus all along, trying to have him killed when he was a baby, then coming to Jesus and tempting him to do bad things and all. And the devil never leaves completely in all of this and has people doing work for him. Now, he can do that now as well, and people will do things that the devil would want them to do, even if they don't believe in him, or even if they don't notice that they're doing things the devil wants them to do. So that's a warning for us to uh, kind of think about, okay, why am I doing this, or why do I want to do this? So Jesus has been going around teaching, and he's had his disciples with him. Now they know a lot of the things that Jesus has been uh, teaching and preaching about, and he's sending them out. So there are really two recorded instances where he sent out people. The first one where he sent out the 12 apostles, and they were to go out um, two by two, meaning they weren't by themselves. They'd have one person with them, and they were not to take special things with them like no extra clothes, no bag, no bread, no money. They were to depend on people providing for them where they went, and they were to go town to town, and they were to tell pretty much what Jesus has been telling, that the kingdom of God is near. Now, the kingdom of God has many different phrases or other phrases that you can use for that. So it could be the kingdom of heaven. It could be later on we call it the church or the followers of Jesus. So there are several names that it goes by, but really what it comes down to is Jesus is teaching the new direction for people to go in order to please God. And now his disciples are doing this. So now it's a chance for them to do this without um, having Jesus looking over their shoulder. So he's showing trust in them. He's also preparing them because they're going to do things in a small way now. They're not going very far. They have to stay in Galilee. He does not want them going to the Gentiles or to the Samaritans. There will be time for that later, but now it is most important to get to the Jews and let them know what God has planned for them. Um, an interesting part of this is they are to go into a town and greet people and find someone of good character who will take care of them while they are there. That means they have to depend on this person to feed them and give them a place to sleep. And they will stay in this town or village until they've had a chance to tell about God. Also, Jesus has given them the power to heal people and to cast out the unclean spirits, the demons, the evil spirits, that sort of thing. So this is something they have not been able to do up until now. But as with the way Jesus did things, it's to support the message that they are giving to the people. Now, if the people accept the message, then they are to stay there. They are to give their peace. That's kind of a way they would greet people. Is they would use the word shalom, which means peace. Kind of like we say hello, they'd say shalom. And if the person gave it back, then okay, you're doing good. You're you're being friendly with each other. Now, if a town rejected them, they were supposed to do something. It sounds kind of odd to us now, is they were supposed to shake the dust of that town from their feet as they leave the town. Now, what you have to remember on this is that people considered feet filthy. And so if you went to someone's home, generally they would give you some way to wash up your feet or have somebody there to clean your feet. So if you were leaving the town and shaking the dust off of it, that was saying that this is a terrible place and I'm leaving. And I'm letting you know I think this is a terrible place. And normally we would consider that an insult, but you have to think the people here have rejected God's message to them. And Jesus told the disciples, hey, it'll be better for some of these other wicked towns on the day of judgment than it will be for this town because they have rejected God. So the people Jesus sent out first were his disciples. Later on, he did another round of this, sending out, it was either 70 or 72. Um, the manuscripts from back then, some say 70, some say 72. The important thing is that he was sending the apostles and other disciples, and they were on a similar mission to go out into all of the towns and tell about God. Uh, the number difference is kind of interesting because 70 would have been an important number to the Jews. It's sort of like people have a lucky number. Um, the Jews didn't think of that as a lucky number, but it was an important number because it's a larger form of the number 7. Also, 72 could have been it because you can divide it by 12. So there were 12 disciples, 12 tribes of Israel. So 12 was also a big deal number to the Jewish people. So if you had something that was like 6 12s at 72, that would mean something to the people symbolically. Uh, it actually didn't matter how many went out. It was more that they were going out and sending the message or giving the message to the people who needed to hear it. And as they came back in, were reporting to Jesus on what happened, of course, all of them are amazed because they were saying, the demons obeyed. They got out. The illnesses, we were able to heal people and all that. And they are excited about this because um, now they've had a chance to go against Satan and break his power in a large number of areas. And this is going to be something that sticks with them as they go through their ministry once Jesus returns to heaven. The ones who have been doing this work have had a realization of the things you can accomplish for God when you're really working for it. Interesting thing, though, that Jesus says to them, it's sort of like, yeah, that's good that you could cast out demons and that you could heal people. But remember, the most important thing is that your names are written in heaven, meaning that you are one of the people who goes to heaven. You get to be with God for eternity. And that's something some people overlook. They will look at the real flashy things about following Jesus, the great things that can happen even these days. While you may not be able to do a miracle and heal someone, um, you can have those great moments where you've talked to someone, you've been able to teach that person about Jesus, and that person wants to follow Jesus and learn that way. The key part is that you are obeying God, and as a result, you will spend eternity with Him. So, with that, I'm going to leave you with this lesson. I wore this tie again, the one I used to represent the apostles, because they feature highly in this one. The advance that Jesus is making, the attack against Satan, I think is a way to prove who is in charge and the power that he has. And you won't see as much of this later, but remember that Jesus has a reason for doing the things he does when he does them. And the apostles and us are not to despair when things get hard, because he does say there will be times when people do things to you because you're with me, and probably because they can't do them to Jesus, so they'll do them to people who are following Jesus. But he's giving them this encouragement. You know, you will know that bad things can happen to you, but ultimately you are following God, you are doing the right thing, you are pleasing him, and you will spend eternity with him. So I hope to see you with the next lesson, and I'll see you then. Bye.